half of all the people we know and love, half of all the people we don't, will be diagnosed with cancer. And yet, we rarely speak of it. It's whispered, perhaps, a shameful secret or referred to euphemistically. When the cancer meteor crashes, I am alone and abandoned in a new land, catapulted to planet Cancer, a dark, terrifyingly unfamiliar place, a landscape I have never walked through, a language I don't speak. My name is Mel. I am 57 years old, and I'm actually engaged to be married to my partner, whose name is Sarah. We met and fell in love 8 years ago, and 3 years into our relationship, I was diagnosed with lung cancer. It's actually non-small cell adenocarcinoma, to give it its fancy name, and I have a mutation called EGFR, which is more common in women and people without a history of smoking and in younger people. So I know people in their 20s, 30s, 40s who have this kind of cancer. It all happened during the pandemic, so it was brutal. Cancer is always brutal. I received my diagnosis over the phone. I went to all my appointments on my own. I had half a lung removed here and 12 weeks, I think, of monstrous chemotherapy, 1 month of radiotherapy, but all of it without my cancer co-pilot, Sarah. I was at hospital. She would be waiting outside, like maybe all day, because she didn't know how long I was going to be, and sometimes it would take longer than others. And I have this little image of her standing outside, just cold, because it was the winter, and waiting and waiting and waiting. And cancer includes a lot of waiting for everybody, including the co-pilots. So it was unimaginably traumatic. And my treatment finished in February or March of 2021, still the pandemic. And I sort of leapt back into my life, but without really processing what had happened to me. I just walked everywhere. Went to the countryside, went to Regent's Park Rose Garden, met up with people outside because we still couldn't meet inside, and just sort of stepped back into my life. But I was forever changed. I just didn't know it. And I think recovering from cancer takes an inordinate amount of time. Acceptance, grief, changed identity, how to look after this new body that you've got, how to celebrate your body, even though it's been through the wars. So it was a very long process of beginning to accept what I was experiencing and had experienced. And then in April of 2022, they found what I call the 10 tiny tumours across both lungs, so I had progression. But at that stage, they didn't know they were tumours because they were too small to biopsy. So the only way to confirm a cancer is to biopsy them, but they were so tiddly that they couldn't get in. So I lived in this kind of in-between land for 2 years whilst we waited to see what status I was. And actually, now I look back, it was kind of liberating because I knew it was coming. I knew it was likely to be cancer, but I couldn't say, yes, I have cancer. And so I looked after myself and stepped back into life. And then I was confirmed as having stage 4 lung cancer in April last year. I've been on a targeted therapy drug ever since. It's called osimertinib. And the aim of the drug is to shrink the tumours. So it's incurable, but treatable. But what I always say is they haven't found a cure yet. And I really do have realistic hope, actually, that medical science will just keep coming up with more and more options for people like me. And so actually I live very well. I don't feel like somebody who's about to pop their clogs, essentially. Today, Sorry. Today there are 3.5 million people living with cancer in the United Kingdom. That is a lot of people, isn't it? Fuck. Today there are 3.5 million people living with cancer in the United Kingdom. I hope there are 3.5 million co-pilots helping them navigate their way, carrying their hearts. Bit tragic to cry at your own writing. What a drama queen. Oh, God. On September the 7th, which happens to be my 58th birthday, yay, I am taking part in Sir Chris Hoy's Tour de Force. Chris Hoy has stage 4 prostate cancer. He is clearly an Olympian and his body matters to him. And he has set up a mass participation event where people with stage 4 cancer, or any stage of cancer, I think, co-pilots, people who really want to raise awareness that people with stage 4 cancer can live good lives if they have access to treatments, drugs, to ensure they're well enough. So we're going to cycle 37.5 miles around Glasgow to raise money for Roy Castle Lung Cancer Foundation. So it's me and Sarah, bike each, probably a tutu. I'm in training for that, so I started off doing 2.8 miles and that was it, huffing and puffing around the local park. And I can now do 17 miles and I've got to get to 37 by September, and I will do it. Essentially showing that if we're well enough to do any form of exercise, whether that is walking around the block with a friend, whether it is going to the park, whether it's cycling if you're well enough to celebrate what we can do, whatever that might be. We are not just part of hospital life. Our bodies don't belong to a hospital. They also belong to us. For me, it's been a way of reclaiming back this actual physical vessel called my body. And it feels like now I'm finally synchronizing my heart, my lungs, my nervous system, that I'm working in sync. I think it's the thing that's made the biggest difference to my healing, that I trust that my body can do this thing. And I don't think I have for the last 5 years. I've been totally medicalized. And now, with every sort of revolution of the bike, I feel like I'm reclaiming my freedom and my identity. I can move independently of my cancer or of anybody actually, because I can cycle on my own. So it's been a really moving experience to move, in fact. So to keep those wheels turning, to keep pedaling, it's more life. I'm lucky that the drug I take allows me to do that, and it won't always be the case. The drug will stop working, but whilst it still is working, I want to celebrate what I can do, not be held back by what I can't do.